Okay, let's unpack this. We all want to change something in our lives, right? A habit, maybe a situation, sometimes even our health.
Yeah, absolutely.
But why does it feel so incredibly hard sometimes? It seems like so many of us only really commit to change after, a crisis hits, a diagnosis, maybe a loss.
Mhm.
So for you listening, if you're looking for more than just info, if you want that deep understanding and like real world tools, this deep dive is kind of a shortcut. It's about uncovering the incredible power you actually have, backed by science, to shape your own reality.
And what's really fascinating, looking at the sources we've gathered, is the perspective they offer on exactly that challenge.
Okay.
They suggest that, well, our default mode just keeps us stuck in repetition.
Hmm.
Real transformation, the lasting kind, has to start from within.
Right, inside out.
Exactly. So today we're diving into a really powerful model for personal change. We're exploring how our thoughts, our emotions, even our biology are all interconnected intimately. And crucially, how you can consciously use this connection to build a whole new future. Our mission here is to show you not just what's possible, but actually how you can start rewiring your brain and your body for, profound, lasting change.
Okay, let's get into it. So the sources kick things off with something pretty startling about our daily mental landscape.
Yeah, it's quite something.
Get this. Science suggests we have, 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. An astonishing number.
Huge.
But here's the real kicker. 90% of those thoughts, they're exactly the same as the day before. Just repeats.
90%.
Yeah.
It's staggering when you think about it.
It really is. So what does this constant mental echo chamber actually mean for your life, for the listener?
Well, that raises a really fundamental question, doesn't it? If your thoughts have anything to do with your future.
Which seems likely.
Right. And 90% of them are just reruns from yesterday, then your life is probably going to stay largely the same.
Makes sense. Stuck in a holding pattern.
Exactly. And the sources, they meticulously explain this powerful loop. It's self-perpetuating.
Okay, break it down for us.
It starts with those same old thoughts, which naturally lead to the same choices you always make. Those choices drive the same behaviors day in, day out, which produce the same experiences. You see the pattern.
Yeah, thought, choice, behavior, experience.
And ultimately, those same experiences generate the same familiar emotions. And here's the crucial part, the closing of the loop. These very emotions feed back and reinforce the exact same thoughts that started it all.
Wow, okay, so it just cycles.
It cycles. And what's even more profound is how your biology gets pulled into this. Your neurocircuitry, the connections in your brain, your neurochemistry, the chemicals floating around up there, your hormones, even, believe it or not, your gene expression.
Gene expression, right?
Yes, it all becomes basically equal to how you consistently think, act, and feel. This whole package, the thinking, acting, feeling, that's what the sources define as your personality.
Our personality.
And your personality, as they state very clearly, creates your personal reality, the life you experience.
Okay, so if personality creates reality and we're stuck in this loop, the logical conclusion is you got to change your personality to change your life.
That's it.
But I mean, that sounds huge. And it's got to be more complex than just trying to, think positive thoughts, right? That feels too simple.
Oh, exactly. You've hit it. The challenge runs deep. It's far more ingrained than just slapping on some positive thinking. Neuroscience gives us a key principle here. It's called Hebb's Law. You might have heard it. Nerve cells that fire together wire together.
Right, like forging a path in the brain.
Precisely. A well-worn path.
Yeah.
If you keep thinking the same way, using the same things, behaving the same way for years, maybe decades, your brain literally hardwires itself. It creates this finite, predictable signature.
So it becomes automatic.
Highly automatic. The sources suggest that by the time you're around 35, a staggering 95% of who you are is basically a set of memorized behaviors, unconscious emotional reactions, automatic habits, deeply embedded attitudes, beliefs, perceptions.
95%.
It's like your subconscious is running this incredibly sophisticated computer program, mostly on autopilot.
Okay, that explains a lot.
It does, and it's exactly why you can consciously try to think positively. You can rationally decide, okay, today I'm changing.
Yeah, New Year's resolutions.
Right. But your body, which has been conditioned for years into that old way of being, might just be screaming internally, nope, you're not happy, you're anxious, you're miserable. The mind wants one thing, the body's living another.
They're in opposition.
Complete opposition.
And if our body is literally chemically conditioned to live in the past, always expecting the same old thing, It sounds like we're just sort of passively waiting for life to happen to us instead of actively creating it.
That's a perfect way to put it. Passively waiting. Because your body, it's incredibly objective in a way. It doesn't actually know the difference between a real-life experience happening right now
Uh-huh.
and an emotion you just fabricate purely through thought, by remembering a past hurt or worrying about a future problem.
So thinking about a stressful event feels the same to the body as living it.
Chemically, yes.
Uh-huh.
It literally starts its day believing it's in the same past experience it was in yesterday and the day before. It primes itself chemically for the familiar.
Wow.
And this applies powerfully to stress. The sources define stress really simply. It's any time your brain and body get knocked out of balance, out of homeostasis.
Okay.
Now, the long-term effects of those stress hormones, they don't just feel bad. They actively push genetic buttons, switches that can, over time, lead to disease.
So stress can literally make you sick on a genetic level.
That's what the science suggests. And here's the critical point. You can turn on that entire stress response just by thought alone, just by thinking stressful thoughts.
Without any actual external threat.
Exactly. And here's the surprising twist the sources mention. Many people actually become accustomed, even someone addicted, to the chemical rush of those stress hormones. Cortisol, adrenaline.
Addicted to stress. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but think about it. If that's your familiar state, your body craves it. So people might unconsciously use their life's problems, the familiar dramas, to reaffirm their need for those very emotions. Even if they genuinely dislike their life circumstances.
They recreate the conditions to get the chemical fix.
In a way, yes. And furthermore, when you consistently just react to your environment, you see the same people, go to the same places, do the same things, have the same reactions, then your external reality starts dictating your internal state, your personality.
Ah, so the environment controls your feelings and thoughts.
Precisely. And that keeps you feeling like a victim of your circumstances. Because in a very real sense, you are. Your external world is running the show internally.
Okay, this paints a pretty compelling picture of how we get stuck. So if we're this deeply hardwired, maybe even addicted to the known, the familiar, the predictable, how on earth do we break free?
Right. That's the million-dollar question.
How do we stop being, a victim to our biology and circumstances and actually step into being the creator?
This is where the real journey of transformation begins, according to the sources. It starts with something called metacognition.
Metacognition, thinking about thinking.
Essentially, yes, it's becoming consciously aware of how you think, how you speak, how you act, how you feel, noticing those automatic patterns.
So observing yourself.
Observing yourself without judgment, thinking about what you've been thinking about, actively noticing those unconscious habits. Because the moment you intentionally observe those ingrained states of mind and body, you are no longer being the program. You're the consciousness observing the program. You've stepped outside of it.
That act of observation creates separation.
Exactly. It's the crucial first step towards liberation. And then, instead of that old self-limiting loop we talked about.
Yeah, the thought, choice, behavior, emotion cycle.
Right. The sources outline a new upward spiral, an evolutionary path. It goes like this. New thoughts lead to new choices.
Okay. Conscious choices.
Conscious choices, which inspire new behaviors, different actions. These create new experiences, things you haven't felt or done before. These new experiences generate new feelings, elevated emotions perhaps.
Ah, so different results.
Different results, different feelings. And those new, often positive feelings, in turn, inspire more new thoughts. It becomes an upward spiral of growth and evolution.
So it really does boil down to making a different choice, doesn't it? Even one small conscious choice. But it has to be potent enough to somehow disrupt that old chemical routine in the brain and body.
Absolutely. That's the leverage point. To truly change, the sources emphasize you have to cultivate an inner state, a resolve that is greater than your body and all its conditioned habits.
Greater than the body. Okay.
You also have to be greater than the conditions in your external environment. All those things and people that constantly trigger the old you, pulling you back to the familiar.
Greater than the environment, right?
And perhaps most profoundly, you must be greater than time itself.
Greater than time. What does that mean?
It means getting beyond the limiting memories of the past, constantly reliving them, and also moving beyond the predictable anticipation of a known future, just expecting more of the same.
So not defined by the past or a predictable future.
Exactly. Letting go of both.
Yeah.
And all of this effort, this conscious work, brings you into what the sources beautifully call the sweet spot of the generous present moment.
The generous present moment. I like that.
It's powerful, isn't it? Because they argue this present moment is the only place where true possibility exists. It's the doorway to the unknown, the field where genuine change can actually take root and grow.
Okay, finding that sweet spot, that present moment, sounds absolutely vital for starting any change. So, let's get practical. What are the tools? What does the science say about how we actually do this rewiring? How do we use our biology in our favor?
Right, the how-to. Well, the sources offer several really powerful insights here, starting with the brain's incredible capacity for change. Its plasticity.
Neuroplasticity.
Exactly. We are not doomed by our genes or our past wiring. We are truly marvels of ongoing adaptation and change. There's this emerging field, neurogenesis.
Which is about creating new neurons.
Precisely. It demonstrates that actively learning new things, having new and novel experiences, literally grows new brain cells, new neurons.
So learning physically changes the brain structure.
Physically changes it, get this, just 1 hour of focused concentration on a new concept, really wrestling with it, understanding it, that can literally double the number of connections in that specific area of your brain.
Double the connections in an hour.
That's what the research indicates. Producing tangible, physical evidence of change right there in your neural architecture. So, your brain isn't just a static record of your past. It can actively become a dynamic map to your desired future. You can build the neurological hardware for the life you want.
That's incredibly empowering to think our thoughts, our focus, our learning can physically alter our brain.
Yeah.
Okay, but you mentioned genes earlier. Can our thoughts and intentions also alter something as fundamental as our genes? That seems like a huge leap.
It does seem like a leap, but here's where the science gets truly profoundly paradigm shifting. It's the field of epigenetics.
Epigenetics, above the genes.
Right. It reveals that our genes are not some rigid destiny handed down to us. Think of them more like a vast library of potentials, blueprints.
Okay, a library.
Yeah. And consider this statistic from the sources. Less than 1% of people are born with those kinds of early onset genetic conditions that really lock things in. For the other 99% plus, our health and traits are profoundly influenced by lifestyle, by behavior, by our choices, by our environment. It's not the genes themselves that inherently create disease in most cases. It's the environment signaling the gene, telling it whether to switch on or off.
The environment talking to the genes?
Exactly. And crucially, our internal environment specifically, our emotional state, plays a massive role in that signaling process.
Our feelings talk to our genes.
That's what the studies strongly suggest. The sources highlight research where people intentionally cultivated elevated emotions, things like gratitude, appreciation, compassion, love, even for relatively short periods, like 10 minutes a day for just 3.5 days.
Okay, short practice.
Relatively short, yes. And the results showed it could actually upregulate, basically turn on or increase the activity of genes responsible for cellular repair, for antioxidant production, anti-cancer activity, hormonal balance.
Just from feeling gratitude for 10 minutes.
Consistently, yes. It signals the body to move towards health and restoration. In another striking example, one study found that simply changing people's mood by having them watch comedy.
Laughter therapy.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It upregulated, turned on over 20 different beneficial genes within a single hour.
An hour? That's incredible.
It really suggests that you are, in a very real sense, your own genetic engineer through the emotions you cultivate.
Wow.
The sources even describe research where one individual was able to significantly change their telomere length, those caps in our DNA linked to aging and longevity, within just 4 days.
4 days? How?
Through intensive meditation and focused intention, generating specific internal states. The sources call it a quantum phenomenon by thought alone, really underscoring how responsive our biology can be to our inner world.
So, okay, if our thoughts and emotions can literally make us sick by triggering stress responses and signaling certain genes, it truly sounds like they hold the power to make us well, too.
That's the logical conclusion, isn't it?
That's more than just a shift in perspective, it feels like. Like reclaiming a huge amount of personal agency over our health and well-being.
Indeed. And this understanding leads directly into the whole phenomenon of the placebo effect.
Ah, yes, the sugar pill that works.
Exactly. The sources highlighted as powerful, undeniable proof of the body's innate, built-in capacity to heal itself.
How does it work, according to this model?
Well, when a person is given an inert substance, a sugar pill, a saline injection, but they believe it's a powerful medicine.
The belief is key.
The belief is absolutely key. Their mind combines a clear intention, I want to get better, this will heal me, with an elevated emotion, perhaps optimism, hope, belief, even gratitude for the expected healing.
Intention plus emotion.
That combination creates a new internal state of being, and the body responds to that state. It starts producing its own internal pharmacy of chemicals, endorphins, dopamine, whatever's needed, often mirroring the effects of the actual drug it thinks it's receiving.
The body makes its own medicine.
Precisely. The sources mention a remarkable Parkinson's study. Subjects given a placebo, just believing it was a potent drug, produced an astonishing 200 times the normal amount of dopamine, purely by thought and belief alone.
200 times. Wow. And did it work?
Yes, their tremors temporarily ceased. The physical symptoms subsided because the internal chemistry changed.
That's incredible proof.
It is. However, the sources also add a crucial caveat. When these individuals went back to their old familiar lives, their old environments, the same stresses, the same cues, the symptoms often returned, which powerfully illustrates just how strongly our external environment can influence and even override our inner state if we're not vigilant.
Right. It pulls you back into the old pattern.
Exactly. It underscores the critical need for sustained inner change. It can't just be a fleeting belief or a momentary good mood. It has to become your new baseline state.
Okay, so that brings us back to the how. How do we cultivate this sustained inner change? How do we resist that pull from the environment? The sources mention meditation quite a bit.
They do. It's presented as a core practice.
What does it really mean in this context to be present through meditation? How does that help with the actual rewiring?
Well, the sources really demystify meditation. They explain its literal meaning is simply to become familiar with.
Familiar with yourself.
Exactly. Familiar with your inner landscape. It's fundamentally about becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts, your automatic feelings, those ingrained patterns. Simply observing them without judgment, without reacting to them.
Just noticing.
Just noticing.
Yeah.
And every single time you notice, your mind has wandered off into thought, worrying, planning, remembering, and you gently, consciously return your attention to the present moment, maybe to your breath or your body. That is a small but really significant victory. You're actively building your willpower, your ability to be greater than those automatic programs. You're strengthening the observer muscle.
Okay, so it's training attention and awareness.
Yes. And meditation is also presented as key to consciously influencing your brain waves, moving from that active analytical beta state.
Our normal waking state.
Right, where the outer world seems most real. Moving intentionally into alpha, a more relaxed, internally focused state, more imaginative, where you start to get beyond the constant chatter of the analytical mind.
It's calmer, more receptive.
Yes. And from there, potentially into theta, which is a deeper state, almost hypnotic, highly suggestible. It's where you can become conscious within your subconscious mind.
Accessing the subconscious.
Accessing the operating system, basically.
Why?
Bypassing that critical analytical filter allows you to get to where those deep-seated subconscious programs that 95% of who we are actually exist. And that's where you can make really profound, lasting changes. Rewrite the code.
Okay, so meditation helps access the subconscious for reprogramming. But it's not just about the brain, is it? I remember the sources linking this to the heart, too.
Absolutely, very strongly. The sources explain that chronic stress doesn't just create chaos in the brain. It creates incoherence, a messy, disorganized pattern in the heart's rhythm as well.
Brain and heart out of sync.
Right. By contrast, learning to consciously cultivate heart coherence involves a specific practice. It's about opening your focus, shifting your attention away from the narrow point and more into space, placing that attention on your heart center.
Focusing on the heart area.
Yes, and then intentionally generating elevated emotions, actively feeling gratitude, appreciation, compassion, love for life. Crucially, independent of any external conditions, feeling it just because you choose to.
Generating the feeling from within.
Exactly. When you do this consistently, you create a measurable, rhythmic, orderly, harmonious pattern in your heart function. Heart coherence.
And that does something.
Oh, yes. This practice doesn't just feel good subjectively. It actually generates a powerful, measurable electromagnetic field around your body. It can extend up to 3 meters wide.
A magnetic field from the heart.
Generated by the coherent heart rhythm. And this coherent field has been shown, according to the sources, to literally help reset the baseline for trauma responses stored in the brain's amygdala.
Resetting trauma. Wow.
Yeah, helping people feel less reactive, more centered, more like their true selves, more at peace, even after significant adversity.
Okay, so we can create coherence in the brain through meditation and coherence in the heart through generating these elevated feelings. What happens when we put them together? What's the combined effect?
Ah, now we connect it to the really big picture. The sources propose that a coherent brain representing clear, focused intention, knowing what you want to create, combined with a coherent heart representing that powerful, elevated, heartfelt emotion.
Mind and heart align.
Perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
This combination allows you to broadcast a very clear, very powerful, very coherent electromagnetic signature out into, well, what the sources describe as the quantum field.
The quantum field. Okay, what is that exactly?
It's described as an invisible field of energy and information. It exists beyond our normal dimensions of space and time, and it's filled with infinite potentials, infinite possibilities. Everything exists there as a potential.
Like a field of pure potential.
Exactly. And the idea is when there's a vibrational match between your coherent energy signature that combined brain and heart signal and a specific potential reality that already exists in that field.
A match between your energy and a possibility.
Yes, you essentially begin to collapse time and space, as the sources put it. You draw that experience, that potential reality, directly to you, out of the field, into your life.
So you're attracting it with your energy.
It's more like becoming a vibrational match to it. The thought, the intention, sends the signal out into the field. The feeling, the elevated emotion from the heart, acts like the magnetic charge that draws the event, the experience, back to you.
Thought sends the signal, feeling draws it back.
That's the model presented, and they offer a really compelling experimental example.
Okay.
In one study, just having the intention alone, just thinking about unwinding DNA, couldn't actually change DNA strands in a test tube.
Intention wasn't enough.
Not on its own.
Get
But
it.
when participants combined the clear intention to unwind the DNA with the powerful feeling of gratitude or appreciation as if it had already happened.
Feeling it as already done.
Yes. That combination resulted in over 20% of the DNA strands actually unwinding, even at a remote location, separate from the participants.
Wow. That's mind-bending.
It is. It really shifts the perspective from living in a state of lack or wanting to living as if your desired future, your dream, has already happened, feeling the feelings now. And that, according to this model, is what signals the quantum field to manifest it in your reality.
That's, yeah, truly powerful. The idea of manifesting from within based on this coherent state. Are there other, maybe more specific biological mechanisms or like latent systems within us that the sources discuss, things that connect us even more directly to this quantum field?
Absolutely. The sources definitely delve deeper into our innate biological equipment for this kind of connection. One key focus is the pineal gland.
The pineal gland. Tiny gland in the brain, right? Sometimes called the third eye.
Exactly that one. Tiny, pine cone-shaped, nestled deep in the center of your brain. The sources describe how, when you apply a specific type of breathing technique.
A breathing technique.
Yes, it involves contracting certain intrinsic muscles, these deep, subtle core muscles, then holding your breath, and simultaneously focusing your attention, your awareness, directly on the pineal gland itself.
Okay, breath hold, muscle contraction, focus on the gland.
Right. This sequence apparently creates a kind of hydraulic pressure. It pushes cerebrospinal fluid up towards the gland, and this fluid movement electrically activates tiny calcite microcrystals within the pineal gland.
Crystals in the pineal gland.
Yes, piezoelectric crystals. And this electrical activation literally transforms the pineal gland into, well, the sources call it a radio receiver.
A radio receiver inside our head. How specifically would that work?
It acts as a biological transducer. Think of it like an antenna. It converts frequencies, information, energy patterns from the quantum field, frequencies that are typically way beyond our normal five senses.
Okay, receiving unseen signals.
And it translates them, transduces them into meaningful, often vivid, lucid imagery and profound inner visions within your brain. Just like a TV antenna converts invisible broadcast frequencies into the pictures you see on your screen.
Wow, so it translates quantum information into brain understandable information.
That's the idea. And this intricate process, this activation, also releases a whole cocktail of powerful, naturally occurring neurochemicals.
Chemicals are released too.
Yes. Things like upgraded melatonin derivatives, super potent antioxidants, benzodiazepines, the body's natural Valium, essentially, which sedates that overthinking analytical neocortex, bringing deep calm. And even, the sources suggest, endogenous dimethyltryptamine, DMT.
DMT, the spirit molecule. produced naturally.
Produced naturally during these deep states, known for inducing profound, often mystical, intervisionary experiences. This whole surge of energy and chemical release can then lead to a powerful activation of the sympathetic nervous system, but in a coherent way, and the opening of a kind of energetic gate at the brainstem,
A gate opening.
allowing a significant flow of energy to move up into the brain, generating very high-frequency brainwave patterns, gamma brainwaves.
Gamma. What's associated with gamma?
Gamma is profoundly associated with states of superconsciousness, heightened awareness, peak experiences, feelings of bliss, ecstasy, profound connection. What some traditions might call a kundalini, release this powerful, ascending vital energy moving through the body's centers.
A kundalini awakening triggered by this process.
That's the connection the sources make. And they mention their own brain scan research showing individuals in these deep meditative states experiencing gamma activity in the pineal region that was 200 to 260 standard deviations outside of normal.
That sounds off the charts.
Completely off the charts. And these transcendental moments fueled by this gamma activity were often correlated with significant, sometimes seemingly miraculous healings. They give an example of chronic, severe eczema completely disappearing from a physician's arm after such an experience.
Wow. Just gone. A testament to the body's healing potential when these systems are activated.
Exactly. It really sounds like we have these incredibly sophisticated, built-in biological systems designed not just to experience our current reality, but potentially to perceive and even actively create a new, much healthier, more expanded reality for
It
ourselves.
seems like it. And does this connect to other concepts, like the body's energy centers, chakras?
Yes, definitely. The sources extend this model to include those energy centers, often known as chakras in Eastern traditions.
Okay, how do they fit in?
They explain that our body has these 7 main energy centers lined up along the spine. Each one is associated with its own major nerve plexus, like a little brain for that area, as well as specific endocrine glands, hormones, and its own unique frequency or energy signature.
Yeah.
And these are all regulated by the autonomic nervous system.
So each center is like a mini control hub.
In a way, yes. And the sources suggest that trauma, chronic stress, or suppressed emotions can cause energy to get stuck, block, or become incoherent within these centers. This leads to imbalance, which can manifest as physical symptoms or emotional difficulties related to that center's themes.
Imbalance in the centers leads to problems. Makes sense.
So the practice they describe involves consciously focusing your attention on each center, one by one, sensing the space around it, tuning into its energy field, and adopting a receiving, open, non-judgmental state towards whatever you perceive there.
Tuning into each center.
Yes, creating coherence within each individual center. The idea is that when these individual brains, these nerve plexuses, become coherent and synchronized, they start sending harmonious, balanced messages throughout the entire nervous system and body.
Bringing the whole system into harmony.
Exactly. This practice, often called blessing the energy centers in their work, has been anecdotally linked, according to the sources, to the healing and resolution of a vast array of health conditions, everything from various types of cancer to autoimmune disorders to chronic pain and depression.
A very wide range of conditions.
A very wide range. Because when you generate coherent energy throughout and around your body using these practices, you experience what they term centropy.
Centropy, like the opposite of entropy.
Precisely the opposite of entropy, which is the tendency towards disorder. Centropy is energy actively organizing matter, creating greater order, coherence, health, and balance within your entire biological system, moving towards wholeness.
Okay. Wow. We've covered a lot of ground here, from repetitive thoughts all the way to activating latent systems in quantum fields. So let's bring it back. What does all this profound insight truly mean for you, the person listening right now?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
We've explored how your thoughts, your feelings, these intentional practices backed by some compelling science can literally rewire your brain circuitry, potentially change your gene expression, influence your health, and maybe even draw a completely new future to you from this quantum field of possibility.
Which really brings us back to that core premise, doesn't it? It raises that crucial question. If your personality, how you think, act, and feel, genuinely creates your personal reality, and you now have access to essentially a scientific roadmap for consciously changing that personality from the inside out, what previously impossible change will you now decide to embark on?
It shifts the perspective from, can I change, to what will I choose to change?
Exactly. Consider the sheer power of making a decision. But not just any decision. A decision made with such firm intention, such clear focus, and combined with such an elevated emotion, feeling the gratitude or joy of it already being real, that your body literally begins to respond to that new mind before the event has happened, making that inner choice so powerful it becomes an unforgettable, deeply felt experience in itself.
Knowing this incredible, scientifically suggested power that you hold within you, what new reality, what new possibility will you choose to start creating today?